Hey, my name is Matt and welcome to Ranking Tactics. Super excited for this video. Just launched my YouTube channel a couple days ago. Thank you if you've subscribed already. Really happy about that. And then lo and behold, and we're talking all about AI in my videos, how to write a 6,000 word blog post in 30 minutes, how to write 9 blog articles in 20 minutes. And then Google a couple days later releases this video on AI content. John Mueller in one of the office hours hangouts was talking about the effects of AI content and what can happen to you if you're using AI on your site. So this is a very on-point video with what we're talking about. I can't wait to share my takeaways from this, kind of what I've learned with what John said, and some opinions that I have on what you should be doing and the future with AI and where you should be taking your website and your future content generation. So here's the link to the video. You can find that on the Google Search Central YouTube channel. John was asked, what do we do about AI content? Is that a problem? Can we get a penalty for that? And John said that using AI to generate content is against the Webmaster guidelines. Now, he skirted the question of whether Google can detect this stuff or not, but he seemed to indicate that it's a manual action. So if you use AI to generate your content on your site, then Google can give you a manual action. So a human reviewer is going to review that site. If they do review that site and they see that the content's thin, that it's AI generated, they can give you that manual penalty, and it's not going to go away until you remove that AI generated content. However, John did say that it's okay to use the AI as more of a tool. I think Google's kind of accepted the fact that everybody and their mom is going to be using AI, and there's really the cat's out of the bag. There's no way to stop this thing. So it's okay to use it more of a tool. Like, maybe I'm a bad writer. I know what I want to write about, but I can't formulate that into a coherent sentence. Maybe AI is okay for that. John was indicating that there's proper ways, such as the grammar tools out there, to use AI. I don't know if he mentioned Grammarly in particular, but he said that those tools use AI. So I know Grammarly uses AI. I've used it before. And it does really well at rephrasing your paragraphs into something that's written better. I think he's indicating that having the AI write your entire blog post is probably not what Google wants. He didn't come out and say that, but he just said using AI to generate content is definitely against the Webmaster guidelines, but there are proper ways to use it. Now, he has made some statements in the past on AI, and last year in 2021, he said that Google would likely focus on more of the quality of the content rather than who generated the content. So regardless of whether an AI generated it or a human generated it, if it's quality content, they want to present that to the user. Google's in the business of giving the user the best search result possible. And ultimately, we're going to reach a point that AI is doing just as good a job as a human in writing the content. And it's going to be indistinguishable, in my opinion. Google probably won't be able to detect it. So what are they going to do? I think they're going to focus on giving the best result to the search user. And that makes a lot of sense too. Who cares if it's AI generated? If it's the best result, give that one to the user. He was also asked this year about AI content creation tools like Jasper, and he tweeted, he said, content generators, spinners have been around since the start of the web. People have used all kinds of tools and tricks to do this. As far as I can tell, most sites have trouble creating higher quality content, and they do not need help creating lower quality content. I think what he was saying was it's really easy, no matter what tool you use, to create a poor article. Even if GPT-3 or one of these other AI tools writes stuff that's coherent, it still could be a poor article because it doesn't make contextual sense. It doesn't really answer the search query. It's not a comprehensive answer, or maybe it has a lot of stuff that's in there that's wrong. Maybe it's introduced some facts about whatever it's talking about that's incorrect. So I think personally, down the road, it's not going to matter what tool you use, whether it's your brain or whether it's AI. But at the moment, Google has indicated that using AI is against the Webmaster guidelines. So let's read some of these guidelines. You can read it yourself on Google's site. If you just search for manual actions report on Google, you'll find it. And it says, what is a manual action? Google issues a manual action against a site when a human reviewer at Google has determined that pages on the site are not compliant with Google's Webmaster guidelines. Certain guidelines you can follow, you need to follow. You can click here to view all of them, and you can get a manual action against your site. And what happens? Your rankings are basically going to drop. You're not going to be able to rank when you have a manual action on your site until you get rid of that manual action. Once you remove the thing that caused the manual action, whether it was spam or AI content, you can then apply to have that reviewed, and the manual action will be removed theoretically if you removed it. So there's a list of different manual actions that you can look at here. Some of them were created to address problems in the past, and now we don't see a lot of these problems today. So an example of a manual action that Google implemented to address a problem in the past was this hidden text and keyword stuffing. So if you have a white background on your website, people would stuff a bunch of keywords that they're trying to rank for. Like, let's say you're trying to rank for barbecue grill. They'd put all kinds of keywords related to that, just separated by commas down below in the footer on that white background, and the text would be white. So a human visitor to your website could not view that text, but it would help with the rankings. And Google quickly nixed that one, and that became a possible manual penalty right there. So you can go through all these. There's a lot of different ones, but the one we're interested in is this thin content with little or no added value. And there's a couple different things that this can be. Automatically generated content, that's what we're going to look at. Thin affiliate programs, scraped content and doorway pages. The thin affiliate is, that was from a recent update where Google said if you have an affiliate site and all you're doing is pasting in the product specifications and not adding any of your own commentary or discussion on that, you could face a manual penalty. So they want more quality in the reviews. They want to see a video of you using the product. They want to see different photos of the product that you actually used. They want you to talk about how the product has changed. The current model is better than the previous edition of this product because it has X, Y, and Z features that weren't present in the previous product. So they want better affiliate pages. Now they're mentioning this automatically generated content. Now this has been around a long time. You're not going to see the word AI in here. But it says automatically generated content is content that has been generated programmatically in cases where it's intended to manipulate search rankings and not help users. Google may take actions on such content. Some examples include, but are not limited to, and there's a bunch of different things in here. So AI content can give you this manual action. I want to give you a couple thoughts on this. Some of just my thoughts, and these are just my opinions. If you rely on them, that's on you. This is my 2 cents from being in the SEO business for nearly a decade. First things first, I want to show you this tool right here. This is the GPT-2 output detector. So you can paste in content, and if it was written by GPT-2, it will tell you if it was, so it's going to be fake content, or it's going to tell you it wasn't and it's real content. This does a good job actually of detecting GPT-2 content, but it does not detect GPT-3 content very well. Now, why does it do that? Why does it not detect the GPT-3 stuff? If you have a sentence in here, like here's a sentence, let's get the extreme out. There's different possibilities that the AI algorithm could then write next, different choices. And for GPT-2, those choices, what word or phrase is going to come next, are smaller than the choices for GPT-3, because GPT-3 is a much larger virtual brain, so to speak. It's 175 billion parameters. And so this detector can't detect GPT-3 stuff because the GPT-3 has more options to choose from for what comes next. Now, Google has trained a 1.6 trillion parameter model. So again, GPT-3, 175 billion, Google, 1.6 trillion. Now, I can almost guarantee you Google's not going to publicly release their AI model for us to then generate content and rank. Google has indicated there's a couple different reasons they generated it, but I bet you if they wanted to detect GPT-3 content, they could, because this detector or this model by Google is larger than GPT-3. So for the foreseeable future, I think Google could technically detect if it is GPT anything behind the scenes, and they could determine if it's real or fake. Will they do that? I don't know. I don't know if that's a lot of resources. I mean, they could theoretically do a random sampling of different sites and say, okay, this was generated by GPT-3. Okay, this was generated by a human. Is that going to serve any purpose? I don't know. What if CNN or what if Fox News or what if The Verge or Time uses some AI content? If everybody's doing it, what's Google going to do? Penalize the entire internet? So I don't think that's really in the best interest of Google, and that's why I think it's going to remain a manual penalty for the time being. And where would you even draw the line? Okay, the site has used 100% AI to generate their content. Maybe that's a flag right there. Let's do a penalty right there. But what about 50%? Is 50% of the stuff on the site AI? Is that where we draw the line? Or is it on article by article basis or a site-wide basis? Maybe the pillar articles are human generated, but the supporting articles are AI generated. Is that enough for a manual penalty? I don't know. Google hasn't indicated that. I want to show you something else too. I use Frase to write articles, and it has an AI generator in there, and it's a lot more than AI. It does optimization. You can do all your research in here. You can use it to generate AI, or you use it to generate a masterpiece, a carefully written masterpiece of an article. So whatever you want to do. I have 3 samples in here. I want to show you this. If you can zoom in a little bit and view this, which sample do you think was written by AI? I'll read all 3 of them. So, depression can tinge recollections with negative emotions. You may find yourself focusing on the one thing that went wrong instead of the many things that went right. Try to stop this overgeneralization. Push yourself to recognize the good. If it helps, write down what was happy about the event or day. Then write down what went wrong. Seeing the weight you were giving to one of these may help direct your thoughts away from the whole into the individual pieces that were positive. The second part, depression is a complex disease that affects many people. While there are some things we can control, such as diet or exercise, most cases of depression are beyond our ability to change. Instead of trying to fight depression with a generalized approach, try assessing each aspect of your life individually. For example, you may be having trouble sleeping because you're stressed out at work. Or maybe you're feeling depressed because you've lost your job. By focusing on specific aspects of your life, you can identify the cause of your depression and take steps to fix it. Now here's the third one. People are affected by depression in a variety of ways. Aside from nutrition and exercise, which we can influence, most cases of depression are beyond our control. Instead of employing a blanket strategy to combat sadness, consider examining each facet of your life one at a time. There are a number of reasons why you might not be able to get a good night's sleep, such as stress at work, or perhaps you're depressed as a result of your recent employment loss. It is possible to uncover the root cause of your depression by focusing on specific parts of your life. What do you think was written by a human? What do you think was written by AI? Let's just go down the list. So this one right here, I'll paste it into this detector. So this says it's real. Now, was this generated using GPT-3? Or was it written by a human? So this was actually written by a human. Now let's take this and paste it in. And I want to comment too, I think these are all very well written. If someone wanted to learn more about depression and maybe ways to fix it or identify it, I think these are all on point. These are all quality articles. So in a way, does it matter who wrote them? Let's see this. Now this says this is fake. Depression is a complex disease that affects many people. While there are some things we can control, such as diet and exercise, most cases of depression are beyond our ability to change. So this was written by AI, but I think it sounds pretty darn good. Now, how about this down here? Let's paste this in and see. Now, this says 83% chance it's real. What do you think? What I actually did for this was I took the fake one, the AI generated one, which sounded really darn good to me, and I put it into Quillbot, which is a rewriter, and I got this output. So regardless of what you're using, I think there's ways to get around detection. So I think just detecting it as AI written or not is not going to help any situation. And a year ago, we didn't even have GPT-3. So what's going to happen in 3 years when we have GPT-4 or GPT-5 or something like that? It's going to be indistinguishable from what a human can write. So I think trying to play a cat and mouse game where, okay, it's a well-written piece of content. It looks like Shakespeare wrote it, but just because an AI wrote it, we're going to give your site a manual penalty. I think that's foolish. I think that's stupid. I think the focus should be on whether or not it provides value to the user. So John said some AI is okay. Like the AI helps you write in a proper way. Now, what does this mean? So let's say I want to discuss the features of a new barbecue grill. It has a stainless steel lid. It's gas and charcoal and dual fuel. It has a side burner. It has a rain cover. The grate is cast iron. But I can't write very well. I think that probably falls within the proper way that John is talking about, because it's clearly in line with what a grammar tool such as Grammarly could do. I could put all that down. It's not going to sound very well, but the AI can help me make it sound good. It's not going to invent facts. It's not going to say the cast iron grate is made out of bubble gum or the barbecue grill has a bottle opener on it when it doesn't. It's not going to invent facts. It's just going to write the stuff in a more pleasing to read manner. I think that's a very proper way. I think Google could detect stuff that is fake in terms of like a fake product attribute. Again, we said this barbecue grill has a bottle opener when it really doesn't. Google is getting good at detecting things like that. If they see that happen on enough of your site where facts aren't factual, maybe you have your money, your life site, and you're talking about health related issues, and you're wrong in more than a threshold number of factual situations. Google could then trigger a manual review of your site, and they say, oh yeah, this is probably AI stuff because a lot of the facts you have on here are not true. Or you have an affiliate site and you're using the AI to write product reviews, and the AI's inventing facts, inventing features that aren't true about the product. Maybe that could trigger a manual review and you get a penalty. I could see Google doing that down the road. But in terms of something like this, depression's a complex disease affecting many people, where there's really there's no specific facts that are inherently wrong. I don't see this as triggering a manual penalty. It's my opinion. It's my 2 cents. But I think you'd probably be fine with that. Now, if your whole article was AI, I don't know. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about bits and pieces here. What will I do? Okay, I want to give you my take. Well, I think automatically generated content that Google is going after is stuff that's not going to help users. We talked about stuff that's fake facts, fake data, fake percentages, things that could even harm a user. I think Google is probably going to crack down on that stuff, and that stuff is going to be very problematic if you're creating content like that. But I'm going to focus on creating content that's going to help my users. If I'm creating a website, I'm going to make sure that the site, the content on there actually helps users and doesn't just spam the internet. John said that this stuff is considered spam. So you kind of have to do your self-assessment and say, am I really adding value here? I could see 100% AI content adding value in the way it's presented. That's a decision you're going to have to make. So what am I going to do? I am going to keep using AI, and I'm going to use it more on sites that I care less about, but I'm going to use it less on sites that I care more about. A lot of times those sites that I care more about are sites that are in competitive niches, and an AI writer is just not going to cut it. I'm not going to be able to rank against DA 80 sites with just AI content. I'm going to need to bring my A game to the table. But on sites that I don't care as much about, that if I get hit with a manual penalty, it's not the end of the world. I just remove the AI content. Or if I just ditch the site, maybe I'll use AI more on there. That's what I think I'm going to be doing. One thing I want to leave you with is, if you use human writers, like maybe you're paying writers through some kind of a program, you should definitely keep an eye on them, because you don't know what they're going to be using. Are those facts in there going to be correct? Are those statistics in your article going to be correct? Are you paying those writers to write by hand, and they're actually using AI, and you're not getting a discount based on that? So I think this is going to be very tricky for the writing industry if you're hiring writers, because you want really good quality content, and who knows what they're going to be using. I hope giving you my insights on this was beneficial. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and have a good discussion about this. Also, check out my other videos. I have a video I just released a couple days ago on writing a 6,000 word article in 30 minutes using AI. And I have a video on writing 9 articles in 20 minutes using AI. So this is definitely a really hot topic right now. My tool of choice to write content is Frase. This is Frase right here. I'll have a link in the description below. Definitely check it out. Frase does have some free AI tools, so you can check their AI tools out for free without even logging in. You don't even need an account. Just click the link below. You can test the tools out for yourself, completely free. Really cool. Please subscribe to the channel. I hope you like this content. I can't wait to make some more videos, and leave your comments below. I can't wait to talk with you. Till next time, goodbye.